Hare Krishna, welcome everybody. Today we are going to discuss from 8.22. Purushassa parapartha bhaktyalabhyastva ananyaya yasyantastani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Ananya. Okay, Ananya Bhakti. Shuddha Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti. Although he is present in his abode, he is all pervading and everything is situated within him. He is present in his abode, but everything is situated within him. So this is our goal. Unalloyed, undeviating. So we should be only engaged in bhakti and nothing else. And it doesn't mean that we give up our material duties, but means that we do everything in Krishna consciousness. That is why Prabhupada coined that word Krishna consciousness. Krishna Bhavanamrit. It is here clearly stated that the supreme destination from which there is no return is the abode of Krishna, the supreme person. The Brahma Samhita describes this supreme abode as Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, a place where everything is full of spiritual bliss. All the variegatedness manifest there is of the quality of spiritual bliss. Nothing there is material. That variegatedness is expanded as a spiritual expansion of the Supreme Godhead Himself. For the manifestation, there is totally of spiritual energy. So it means that it is coming from the Supreme Lord as a spiritual expansion, and there is totally made of spiritual energy. There is nothing material there. As far as this material world is concerned, although the Lord is always in his supreme abode, he is nonetheless all pervading by his material energy. So that is the way he is all pervading. He is not himself present here. He is pervades by his material energy. But he also appears when his devotees call for him. He comes. So by his spiritual and material energies, he is present everywhere, both in the material and in spiritual universes. Yasyanta sthani means that everything is sustained within him. Yasya antaha. Antaha means inside. Sthani means situated. He within either is spiritual or material energy. The Lord is all pervading by these two energies. To enter Krishna's supreme abode or the innumerable Vaikuntha planets is possible only by bhakti, as clearly indicated by the word bhaktya. No other process can help one attain that supreme abode. The Vedas also describe the supreme abode and the supreme personality of Godhead. Eko Vashi Sarvaga Krishna. In that abode, there is only one supreme personality of Godhead, whose name is Krishna. He is a supreme merciful, very merciful deity. And although situated there as one, although situated there as one, he has expanded himself into millions and millions of plenary expansions. The Vedas compare the Lord to a tree standing still, yet bearing many fruits, varieties of fruits, flowers, and changing leaves. The plenary expansion of the Lord who preside over the Vaikuntha planets are four-armed, and they are known by variety of names. Purushottama, Trivikrama, Keshava, Madhava, Niruddha, Rishikesha, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Sridhara, Vasudeva, Damodara, Janardana, Narayana, Vamana, Padmanabha, etc. The Brahma Samhita also confirms that although the Lord is always in the supreme abode, Goloka Vrindavan, he is all pervading, so that everything is going on nicely. Goloka eva nivasatya khilatma bhutaha. As stated in the Vedas, Parasya Shaktir Vivadeva Shuyate Swabhaviki Gnana Bala Kriyacha. His energies are so expansive that they systematically conduct everything in the cosmic manifestation without a flaw, although the Supreme Lord is far, far away. Gnana Bala Kriya. So everything is just taken care by these energies, Swabhaviki, naturally, systematically. Yeah, so we can achieve him only by unalloyed devotion. So we have to focus on unalloyed devotion. Okay. questions? Otherwise, we'll go to the next verse.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
It is written that everything in the spiritual world is an expansion of Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So all the trees and even the
Not expansion. It is material energy. Yeah. It is spiritual energy. Yeah.
yeah, the spiritual energy. So even Lord Krishna's clothes, right, the houses,
Yeah.
everything is actually nothing but spiritual energy, right?
Yeah.
So can we understand that even the souls, which are individual identities, ultimately they are eternal, but their source is also Supreme Lord only, right? Or is it something like a different tattva? So what is
No.
the real difference between Vishnu tattva and the jivas, right? Because
Jiva
then
Tattva is just Vibhinna Amsha, separate, eternally separated entities,
hmm,
which are of the same nature qualitatively as the Supreme Lord.
hmm. Okay, so basically, these are individual identities, but they never combined into Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
And also, but ultimately, the source is Supreme Lord, or these are like,
Source is Supreme Lord, but eternally it has been separated. So
hmm,
while he is the source, we have come from him, but eternally we have been separate. It's not like he got cleaved and
yeah,
broken and joined together. No, not like that. But he is
no,
the source. We have come from him.
hmm. Yeah, and it is just a matter of chance that some of the souls are, Nitya Siddhas, and some
Mhm.
are, Baddhas. They might become Sadhan Siddhas. So, what is the basis? Because then it is kind of not understood. But like, what is the basis in which we souls become Nitya Baddha as of now, right? We might become Sadhan Siddhas if we do nice bhakti, but there might be some souls which are eternally, Nitya Siddhas. So, how to understand that? Like, at what point of time this might
And
have happened?
that is not that Prabhupada says. Nobody knows when it happened, but it happened. Uh, there are those who are Nitya Siddhas who are always engaged in serving the Lord, and there are those, the misbehaving ones like us, who at some point of time decided that we want to go independent of Krishna. At that point of time, we fell here, right? But even the Nitya Siddhas are separated entities only. They are also eternally separate from the Lord. So eternally separate doesn't mean that we are like only Nitya Baddhas. Nitya Siddha, Nitya Baddha, all jivas are coming from the Supreme Lord, but eternally separated as separate entities. Now, whether
Yeah,
one jiva wants to stay there or come here, that is our choice.
yeah.
When it happened, no documentation about that.
So that is
Eternally.
basically our misfortune that we actually
Not misfortune, our misbehavior.
misbehavior. Yeah.
Yeah, we misbehaved. We did the wrong thing. And we still continue to do the same thing here also. That is
Yeah.
the worst thing. Yeah, so we decided that we wanted to be separate from Krishna, and he gave us the opportunity. We are here struggling.
Yeah.
Okay. Narayana and Padmanabha are two different forms of the Lord. Yes, they're two different forms. Aren't they both the same form? No. Every form of Krishna is like Lord has unlimited forms. In Vaikuntha, every Chaturbhuja form has a different name based on which weapons or which what he is carrying in his forearms and in what order. The four Shankha Chakra Gada Padma itself has that itself has what, 4P4 or whatever, right, permutations you can put. And then there are I mean, this is what is mentioned, but there are innumerable, so we cannot, again, achintya. So every Vaikuntha planet has a four-armed form overseeing. So on what basis they will be named, etc., is not clear, but few forms are named here. Okay. Okay, 23. Yatra kale tvan avrittim chaiva yogina prayata yanti tam kalam vakshami bharatarshava. Oh, best of Bharatas. Bharatas nahi. Bharata. Best of Bharata. Nahi. It is Bharata or best of Bharata. I shall now explain to you the different times at which passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. The unalloyed devotees of the Supreme Lord who totally surrendered souls do not care when they leave their bodies or by what method. So those who are engaged in undeviated devotion, they don't have to worry about all this. They leave everything in Krishna's hands and so easily and happily return to Godhead. So there's no question of where they will go. They will go back to Godhead only. When, what, and all that doesn't matter. But those who are not unalloyed devotees and who depend instead on such methods of spiritual realization as Karma Yoga, Gnana Yoga, and Hatha Yoga, except Bhakti Yoga, everything else has rules. They must leave the body at a suitable time in order to be sure of whether or not they will return to the world of birth and death. And that too, Karma Yoga and Gnana Yoga, they cannot even, of course, Gnana Yoga, they can go up to Brahman, but they can come back. Karma Yoga, nothing. They will, unless, they don't. But karma is not considered as a transcendental method at all. So one does karma yoga and eventually he has to come to gnana yoga. Without that, he cannot get out of this material world. Hatha yoga can go either to the spiritual world or material world, depends on where he wants to go. Hatha yogi. But still, suitable time, place, etc. Everything is important. The yogi is perfect. He can select. This is the yogi is the hatha yogi. He can select the time and situation for leaving this material world. But if he is not so expert, success depends on his accidental passing away. Accidental means not in his control types. The suitable times at which one passes away and does not come back are explained by the Lord in the next verse. According to Acharya Baladev Vidya Bhushan, the Sanskrit word kala used here refers to the presiding deity of time. Okay. Agnir Jyotir Aha Shukla Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Vido Jana. Those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment of the day during the fortnight of waxing moon, Shukla Paksha. During 6 months when the sun travels in the north, Uttarayana, which is the current time, currently Uttarayana. Okay. When fire, light, day, and fortnight of the moon are mentioned, it is understood that over all of them, there are various preceding deities who make arrangements for the passage of the soul. So this is very interesting. So all of these, they may create the passage. So that is explained in Bhagavatam. That he goes to Vaishvanara Loka and then through the Sisumara and all that description is there. At the time of death, the mind carries one on the path to a new life. If one leaves the body at the time designated above, either accidentally or by arrangement, it is possible for him to attain the impersonal Brahmajyoti. Mystics who are advanced in yoga practice can arrange the time and place to leave the body. Others have no control. If by accident they leave at an auspicious moment, then they will not return to the cycle of birth and death. It's not like by accident in the sense it's not in their control, but if based on what they have done, if they are able to leave the body at an auspicious time, then they'll not come back here. But otherwise, there is every possibility that they'll have to return. However, for the pure devotee in Krishna consciousness, there is no fear of returning, whether he leaves the body at an auspicious or inauspicious moment, by accident or arrangement. So actually, it doesn't really matter. It just doesn't matter. The Lord wants, he can make the devotee leave at an auspicious time, like Vritrasura. It took 1 year for Vritrasura for that Vajrayudha to kill. His neck fell down from his body after 1 year. So Lord will control whatever is required. So devotees don't bother about all this. You don't have to really. I mean, these verses never interested me. So we'll just, as a matter of completion, we'll just finish this. Dhumo ratis tatha Krishna sanmasa dakshinayanam tatra chandramasam jyotir yogi prapya nivartate. A mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon, so Krishna Paksha or Dakshinayana. reaches the moon planet, but again comes back. Still, this is moving to mystic. The mystic, when he leaves, he will go to the moon planet and come back. Non-mystics, normal people will just take birth in this material world based on whatever they've done. In the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila Muni mentions that those who are expert in fruitive activities and sacrificial methods on earth attain to the moon at death. These elevated souls live on the moon for about 10,000 years by demigod calculations. What are demigod calculations? 6 months equals 1 day. 6 months here equals 1 day. 6 months is 1 night. So which means 1 year here, he is 1 day overall, 24 hours of demigod. So like that, 10,000 years. And enjoy life by drinking Somarasa. They eventually return to earth. This means that on the moon there are higher class of living beings, though they may not be perceived by gross senses. Yukta Krishna gati hyete jagatasshashvate mate yekaya yatyana vrittim anyaya vartate puna. According to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light, one in darkness. When one passes in light, it does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. Same description of departure and return is quoted by Acharya Baladev Vidyabhushan from the Chandogya Upanishad. Those who are fruitive laborers and philosophical speculators from time immemorial are constantly going and coming. Actually, they do not attain ultimate salvation, for they do not surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada is just Naiti Shruti Parthajanan Yogi Muhyati Kashtana Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukto Bhava Arjuna. All the devotees know these two paths, Arjuna, they are never bewildered. Therefore, be always fixed in devotion. So our focus needs to be this, and not when we are going to leave the body, how we are going to leave the body. That is immaterial. What we need to do, irrespective, is we have to be fixed in devotion today. Krishna is here advising Arjuna that he should not be disturbed by these different paths the soul can take when leaving the material world. Devotee of the Supreme Lord should not worry whether he will depart by arrangement or by accident. Devotee should be firmly established in Krishna consciousness and chant Hare Krishna. He should know that concern over either of these two paths is troublesome. The best way to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness is to always dovetail in his service. And this will make one's path to the spiritual kingdoms safe, certain, and direct. So this also means there is an indirect path, which is going through higher planetary systems gradually. But for us, we want the direct path. We want to directly go to Goloka. No stopover, direct flight. And the word Yoga Yukta is especially significant in this verse. One who is firm in yoga is constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. Yoga Yukta. Yukta means connected. Always connected in yoga, in all his activities. Sri Rupa Goswami advises Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjutaha. One should be unattached in material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. By this system, which is called Yukta Vairagya, one attains perfection. Therefore, the devotee is not disturbed by these descriptions because he knows that his passage to the Supreme Abode is guaranteed by devotional service. So we need to just be worried about how fixed we are in devotion. This has to be our only concern. Everything else is like immaterial, as in when, what, how, etc. It doesn't matter really. All we have to be concerned is that we are fixed in devotion. Vedeshu yagneshu tapassu chaiva dhaneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tatsarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results. So if somebody thinks, okay, bhakti, no, it doesn't look like it's the most superior, there are other processes, etc. No, because whatever we can achieve from any other process or all other processes, everything is included here. So yeah, attains all these, not just one. Studies Veda Dhyana, study of Vedas, performing sacrifice, undergoing austerities, giving charity, pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. So all this. So Veda Dhyana, Tapa, Yagna, Tapa, Dana, Gnana, Karma, all paths. Since by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So why would anybody not take a path of devotional service? This verse is a summation of the 7th and 8th chapters, which particularly deal with Krishna consciousness and devotional service. One has to study the Vedas under the guidance of the spiritual master and undergo many austerities and penances while living under his care. A brahmachari has to live in the home of the spiritual master just like a servant, and he must beg alms from door to door and bring them to the spiritual master. He takes food only under the master's order, and if the master neglects to call the student for food, that day the student fasts. These are some of the Vedic principles for observing brahmacharya. After the student studies the Vedas under the master for some time, at least from age 5 to 20, he becomes a man of perfect character. So this is very important. There is no fund of education to gain vocational training that is going to help us lead our life. No, the education was supposed to be to build character. And we can see that actually after coming to Krishna consciousness, we have developed so much character which didn't exist at all in us before. So this is real education and not what we've studied all our lives, right? Which is completely total waste. Study of the Vedas is not meant for recreation of armchair speculators. Who are armchair speculators who sit in a chair and just keep speculating. They don't engage in any active service. But for the formation of character. After this training, the brahmachari is allowed to enter into household life and marry. When he is a householder, he has to perform many sacrifices so that he may achieve further enlightenment. So specifically here, it is yagna. So one has to do yagna. You must also give charity according to the country, time, and candidate, discriminating among charity in goodness, passion, ignorance, as described in Bhagavad Gita. Then after retiring from household life, upon accepting the order of vanaprastha, so one has to accept vanaprastha, he undergoes severe penances. Of course, for Kali Yuga, we don't go undergo severe penances, but in a way it is severe penance because cutting out of material activities is severe penance only for people. Living in forest, dressing with tree bark, not shaving, etc. By carrying out the orders of brahmacharya, household life, vanaprastha, and finally sannyasa, one becomes elevated to the perfectional stage of life. In fact, all of these also have their corresponding lokas. So brahmachari will go to Maharloka, householder will go to Janaloka, vanaprastha will go to Tapaloka, sannyasa will go to Brahmaloka, if they achieve perfection in their paths. And if they don't want bhakti, that is, if they want to just stick to varnashrama, they'll still go to Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. By carrying out the orders, and elevated to the perfectional stage. Some are then elevated to the heavenly kingdoms, and when they become even more advanced, they're liberated in the spiritual sky. One goes to Satyaloka. Generally, Brahma, if he's a devotee, then they merge into his body and he goes to Vaikuntha, so they all go to Vaikuntha. It says either in the impersonal Brahmajyoti or in the Vaikuntha planet. Both are possible based on what they want. This is the path outlined by Vedic literatures. The beauty of Krishna consciousness, however, is that by one stroke, by engaging in devotional service, one can surpass all the rituals of the different orders of life. So we don't have to really worry about brahmacharya, grasta, vanaprastha, sannyasa. Just that we have to be engaged in Krishna consciousness, and we have to be increasingly engaged in Krishna consciousness. That means as time progresses, we have to spend more and more time in Krishna service. To enable that, we can say take vanaprastha, do this, that, and all that. Because of course, brahmacharya to grasta means suddenly time goes. Right? In brahmacharya, no other responsibility except serving guru and doing bhakti. Grasta, suddenly 8 hours, 10 hours of work gets added. So progress becomes very slow. Unfortunate but true. And that is why only Tivra Bhakti can help us. Only if we are constantly fighting to keep ourselves Krishna conscious, then we will make progress. Otherwise, this Grahastha life is very pulls us down. Unfortunate but true. So anyway, so the focus is to remain as much as in Krishna consciousness as possible. The words idam viditva indicate that one should understand the instructions given by Shri Krishna in this chapter and the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. One should try to understand these chapters not by scholarship or mental speculation, but by hearing them in the association with devotees. Chapters 7 through 12 are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 and the last 6 chapters are like coverings for the middle 6 chapters, which are especially protected by the Lord. If one is fortunate enough to understand Bhagavad Gita, especially these middle 6 chapters in the association of devotees, then his life at once becomes glorified beyond all penances, sacrifices, charities, speculations, etc. Or one can achieve all the results of these activities simply by Krishna consciousness. One who has a little faith in Bhagavad Gita should learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee, because in the beginning of the 4th chapter it is stated clearly that Bhagavad Gita can be understood only by devotees. No one else can perfectly understand the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. One should therefore learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee of Krishna. How many times Prabhupada is saying this? Not from mental speculators. This is a sign of faith. When one searches for a devotee and fortunately gets a devotee's association, one actually begins to study and understand Bhagavad Gita. We are all very fortunate that we came to Srila Prabhupada, who is the devotee whose association we are getting. And that is why we have begun understanding Bhagavad Gita. Right? By advancement in the association of devotees, one is placed in devotional service. And this service dispels all one's misgivings about Krishna, all wrong conceptions. Our God and Krishna's activities, form, pastimes, name, and other features. After these misgivings have been perfectly cleared away, one becomes fixed in one's study. Then one relishes the study of Bhagavad Gita. So actually, initially when we read, it is just to remove all these misgivings, misapprehension, wrong understandings, etc. First time we read, we will maybe come to the conclusion that, okay, looks like there's something about Krishna, Krishna, Krishna here. So I need to, so we will recalibrate ourselves and say, okay, Krishna. Then second time we read, we will understand few things like that, slowly, gradually we'll make progress. Then one relishes the study of Bhagavad Gita. Actually, we relish the study of Bhagavad Gita only when we become fixed in Krishna consciousness. Only then we can relish. Otherwise, half of these things we cannot even understand. Because like, Prabhupada said, it's not for armchair philosophers. Only for one who engages in bhakti can they understand all these things. So unless we engage in bhakti actively, give a lot more time to bhakti, we cannot understand many of these things. Only then we will relish the study. And then he attains the state of feeling always Krishna conscious. That feeling, that means that, something different, life has changed. In the advanced stage, one falls completely in love with Krishna. The highest perfectional stage of life enables the devotee to be transferred to Krishna's abode in the spiritual sky, Goloka Vrindavan, where the devotee becomes eternally happy. So Prabhupada is also saying, okay, finally it's not just some feeling, and what is it? It is finally love for Krishna. That is the advanced stage. So it's 8th chapter, beautiful, emphasizing on devotional service. And we'll go even more deeper with the 9th. Okay, I think we are done with this chapter. Any questions, anybody?